businesses need to bolster digital economy, make it inclusive. COVAX facility agreement, a multi-pronged approach to COVID-19 vaccine. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching News at 10 with me, Mohammed Amin Carlos. The adaptation of digital economy and continuous innovation have proven to be the need of the time to generate jobs and for businesses to remain relevant amid the unprecedented challenges following the coronavirus pandemic. Now, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said innovation and digitalization are fundamentals within this context, as these enablers not only facilitate efforts to reinvigorate economic activities but also safeguard the health and well-being of the people. In his keynote address at the virtual APAC CEO Dialogues 2020 today, the Prime Minister said the COVID-19 pandemic has shown that technology can step in and sustain communities even when the movement is restricted.
The pandemic has shown all of us that technology can step in and sustain communities even when our movement is restricted. However, without sufficient infrastructure and close cooperation between the public and private sector, we run the risk of excluding vulnerable groups due to the lack of access to digital tools. And promoting digital inclusion and narrowing the digital divide by increasing investments in ICT infrastructure for these groups is therefore a must.
The Premier said continuous innovation is beyond mandatory in the era, as it is a prerequisite for businesses to remain relevant. He noted that inventive or at times cutting-edge adoption and application of digital technologies is the very foundation upon which innovative business models are built, and these digital technologies are pivotal in supporting and enhancing the value proposition of businesses and entrepreneurs. The Prime Minister also said that APAC must reaffirm its support and commitment for the rules-based multilateral trading system, that it is essential for businesses, as market stability and predictability are the central pillars which ensure that trade and investment continue to flow even during times of crisis.
A well-functioning dispute settlement mechanism at the World Trade Organization, WTO, which serve as a primary pathway for countries to settle their differences, is also critical in this regard. Of similar importance is the need to recommit ourselves to APEC's core and enduring goal of free and open trade and investments in the region. And this is integral to our efforts to rebuild our economies in the aftermath of the pandemic.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin noted that APAC assumes a central role in spearheading post-pandemic economic recovery, and the region needs to trade and invest its way out of the current economic downturn. Themed APAC Reimagined, Priorities in the Aftermath of COVID-19. The event was hosted by the APAC Business Advisory Council. Malaysia's participation in the COVID-19 vaccine global access, or COVAX facility, is a multi-pronged approach that will open up room for the country to diversify its options in the acquisition of the vaccine. The Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said Health Ministry, or SAHIH, and the Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization, or Gavi, are finalizing the date to sign the optional purchase arrangement agreement to participate in the COVAX vaccine allocation plan. The Cabinet had on 14 October agreed for supply to join the COVAX facility, which would guarantee vaccine supply for 10% of the country's population. The Minister said the Cabinet also agreed that the MOH would represent the government to finalize Malaysia's agreement for participation in COVAX, together with Gavi and the Attorney General's chambers, to review the terms and conditions of the agreement set by Gavi.
Keputusan untuk Malaysia menyertai fasiliti ini akan melibatkan kos yang merangkumi bayaran pendahuluan upfront payment dan risk sharing guarantee berjumlah 22.6 juta US dollar atau secara anggarannya 94 juta ringgit Malaysia.
Kyrie said the guarantee of early access to the COVID-19 vaccine supply is important to protect the people from the virus, as well as to help boost the country's economy when the vaccination is made a condition for movement and communication globally. Well, the number of new COVID-19 cases in the country has climbed back to 4 digits, with 1,290 new cases were recorded in the past 24 hours. Well, cumulatively, Malaysia's COVID-19 cases have reached 51,680, with active cases going up to 13,222. Now, in a statement, the Health Director General, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, said there were 4 new COVID-19 fatalities, with 2 cases in Sabah and 1 each in Johor and Perak, making the country's death toll to 326. Well, it said there were 878 patients who were discharged, which means the total number of people who had recovered from the virus in the country is 38,132. Well, currently, 110 people are being treated at the ICU, with 37 of them requiring ventilator support. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said the 2 states with the highest number of cases were Sabah with 660 new infections and Selangor with 407. Now, most of the cases in Sabah are from clusters related to temporary detention centres, lockups and prisons. The Health Ministry also detected 4 new clusters, namely Kapas BJ Cluster in Selangor, Prestige Cluster in Kuala Lumpur, Bah Bercham Cluster in Perak and Kiambang Cluster in Johor. A total of 289 individuals were detained yesterday for breaching the Movement Control Order, MCO. And Senior Minister for Security, Dato' Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said in a statement today, 277 individuals were slapped with 1,000 ringgit fine, 11 were remanded, and 1 individual was granted bail by the police. Now, Dato' Seri Ismail further said from the number, 108 individuals were caught not wearing face masks in public areas. And other offences committed included failing to observe physical distancing, premises failing to provide tools to record their customers' details upon entry, and some were caught travelling interstate or inter-district without permission. In a related development, 35 illegal immigrants and 1 smuggler were detained in Obenteng yesterday. 9 land vehicles were also seized in the operation. Meanwhile, 33 public sanitisation operations had been conducted by the Ministry of Housing and Local Government so far. The operations covered 6 red zones, 4 orange zones, 8 yellow zones and 7 green zones in the country. Since 30th March, the government has completed a total of 11,600 operations in 137 different zones involving residential areas, public places, markets and government buildings. Well, a total of 5,218 cases of online scam, also known as Macau scam, that had caused losses of around 256 million ringgit were recorded from January to October this year. And Deputy Director of Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department, Dato' Rosli Muhammad Noor, said from the total, 2,676 cases were solved by police and 1,420 cases charged in court. According to Dato' Rosli, the victims of such scam come from diverse socio-economic backgrounds with varied levels of education.
Saya ingat mintalah rakyat supaya tidak kalau kita tak terlibat apa-apa jangan takut, jangan panik. Mungkin takut satu sebab dia kata nak tangkap pengawal haram, nak tangkap, nak pergi raid rumah apa semua. Tak payah takut sebab kita tak ada kesalahan apa, tak payah takut.
He added that there are individuals who are willing to sell their account and PIN numbers for 40 to 50 ringgit to scammers as a transit account to receive money transferred by the victims. He also reminded the public to get in touch with the police as soon as possible if they receive such suspicious phone calls. Well, a man in his 50s was stabbed to death by his son at their house in Jelebu, Negeri Sembilan yesterday. Now, the 35-year-old suspect is currently being remanded for 7 days beginning today. Now, the remand order until 25th November was issued by Magistrate Rahimah Rahim in Jelebu Magistrates Court yet today. And according to Jelebu OCPD DSP Mazlan Udin, the father-son quarrel began when the victim scolded and hit the accused with a plastic chair for being too occupied with mobile games. This had led to the suspect to retaliate by stabbing the victim. The victim then collapsed and died at the entrance of their house. A neighbor then called the police, leading to the arrests of the accused at a nearby town. Well, the case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Ministry launches campaign promoting oil palm as God's gift. The Ministry of Communications and Multimedia today reiterated its commitment to roll out 5G technology by the end of 2022 or early 2023, with connectivity being one of the government's top priorities. Minister Dato' Saifuddin Abdullah said the implementation would be with detailed planning and targets as stated in the National Digital Network Plan known as Jendela. Speaking at the Dewan Rakyat, the minister said implementation of this 5G network project included availability in terms of connectivity, people's readiness to receive the network, regulatory and industry's preparedness.
Ketersediaan dari segi kesaling hubungan yang disebutkan tadi tak guna. Kita ada 5G di setengah-setengah tempat, tetapi di kawasan pedalaman luar bandar 4G pun tak ada dan sebagainya. Ketersediaan rakyat untuk menerimanya, ketersediaan dari segi kawal selia, apakah cas yang akan dikenakan kepada rakyat, ketersediaan supaya dapat mengelakkan jurang digital bentuk baru pula, nanti 5G yang tak ada G dan sebagainya. Dan juga ketersediaan industri, kerana kita jangka 70% daripada penggunaan 5G ini ialah di kalangan industri dan 30% di kalangan rakyat biasa.
Meanwhile, Dato' Saifuddin said the 5G demonstration project showed an achievement, for example, in the oil and gas industry sector, especially at the offshore platforms, in terms of employee safety and increased efficiency. In addition, he said 5G technology was also beneficial to the tourism sector, citing that tourists from within and outside the country had the opportunity to explore new experiences using virtual reality technology. Based on the positive feedback, he said the ministry have decided to extend the implementation period of the 5G demonstration project to 31st December, adding the extension coincided with the introduction of Jendela, as announced by Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin last August. The Prihatin Special Grant, or GKP 2.0, has attracted more than 512,000 applications from micro, small and medium enterprises or SMEs, far exceeding the initial target of 200,000 micro SMEs. Finance Minister Tengku Dato' Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz said the applications for GKP 2.0 had been reopened from 1st to 30th October with an allocation of 600 million ringgit. The minister said to ensure only eligible micro SMEs receive the one-off GKP 2.0 aid of 3,000 ringgit, every application was being cross-checked or verified against agency data, even data at the local authorities level.
Terdapat juga sebilangan permohonan yang tidak akan diluluskan GKP 2.0. Antara sebab utama adalah tidak memenuhi syarat, iaitu memegang lesen daripada pihak berkuasa tempatan atau tidak terdaftar dengan Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia. Selain itu, antara sebab adalah tidak memenuhi kriteria PKS Mikro, iaitu dengan bilangan pekerja melebihi 5 orang.
Tengku Dato' Sri Zafrul said micro SMEs that apply for GKP 2.0 can check the approval status starting 27 November, while the payments are expected to begin from 30th November. He added GKP 2.0 showed the government's continued commitment to safeguard the people's well-being, support businesses and strengthen the country's economy. Well, up until the 1st of October, 98% of 650,000 applications for the targeted moratorium have been approved. The First Deputy Finance Minister, Dato' Abdul Rahim Bakri, said of the approved applications, 40% opt for the moratorium extension, while 60% chose for reduction in monthly installment payments.
Tipati moratorium bersasar yang bermula pada 1 Oktober 2020 tersebut ialah penangguhan bayaran balik pinjaman selama 3 bulan atau pengurangan bayaran ansuran bulanan sepadan dengan pengurangan pendapatan selama 6 bulan. Peminjam boleh memaklumkan melalui saluran peminjam yang disediakan seperti perbankan internet, secara dalam talian atau menerusi agensi kaunseling dan pengurusan kredit atau AKPK.
Speaking in Parliament, the Deputy Minister said the applications were mainly from individuals who had lost their jobs in businesses in sectors that are heavily affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ministry of Plantation, Industries and Commodities, MPIC, has launched the Sawit Anugrah Tuhan, or oil palm, the gift from God campaign, with the aim of appreciating the great contribution of the palm oil industry to the country, besides raising awareness about its benefits and nutritional values to the community. Minister Dato' Dr. Muhammad Khairuddin Aman Razali said the international and national level campaign, which is organized by the ministry through the Malaysian Palm Oil Council, or MPOC, would focus on the role played by the palm oil industry in the country's socio-economic development. The minister said the campaign also emphasized on the contribution of the palm oil sector to the food and non-food industries, including health products and environmental conservation.
Pelbagai aktiviti promosi bagi menggalakkan pelibatan semua lapisan masyarakat akan dijalankan di seluruh negara menerusi pelbagai platform. Pelaksanaan program secara bersepadu merangkumi aktiviti fizikal dan maya akan dijalankan. Penggunaan media baru dan aplikasi sosial akan menjadi keutamaan dengan elemen pendidikan, kesedaran, tarikan visual serta nilai diterapkan dalam menyampaikan mesej pada masyarakat.
He was met after launching the campaign in Parliament today. At the pre-launch campaign today, the ministry distributed 550 face masks adorned with the official campaign logo to members of Parliament, dignitaries and the media to signify the country's efforts in countering the COVID-19 pandemic.
Kita berbangga menjadi tuan rumah kepada persidangan APEC 2020. Iltizam kita adalah untuk maju seiring dengan azam mengecapi kemakmuran bersama. Kecekalan, kegigihan dan kerjasama erat adalah ramuan bagi kita untuk melahirkan hasil yang terunggul buat semua, termasuk generasi mendatang. Namun, dalam usaha mengecapi kejayaan, pastinya kita berdepan dengan pelbagai cabaran.
200 confirmed cases of coronavirus. Declare this a global health emergency.
Dan untuk itu, kerajaan memutuskan untuk melaksanakan perintah kawalan pergerakan.
Perjuangan barisan hadapan tidak mengenal penat lelah, tetap berjuang dan kekal bersatu, membolehkan kebaikan menjadi kehebatan.
Malaysia telah mengambil langkah-langkah proaktif bagi meneruskan program-program kerja APEC dengan mengguna pakai format persidangan secara maya atau digital di peringkat kumpulan kerja dan pegawai-pegawai kanan APEC.
Malaysia komited meneruskan agenda pembangunan seksama. Bersama, kita mampu meneroka potensi baru, melewati dunia tanpa sempadan.
Didorong oleh prinsip kemakmuran bersama dalam kita menerapkan norma baru kini, Malaysia sebagai tuan rumah APEC 2020 telah melakar sejarah apabila berjaya menganjurkan acara ini dalam format maya sepenuhnya. Saya amat berbesar hati untuk mempromosikan mesyuarat pemimpin digital yang pertama yang akan dihadiri 21 pemimpin ekonomi APEC.
But first, Academy owner Dato Sri Magadi Shahriman Zaharuddin has submitted a written appeal to the Malaysian Hockey Confederation, or MCH, Appeals Committee regarding his 18-month suspension. Now, Academy said in a statement today that the appeal was handed over to the MHC on 17 November. In the 10-page letter of appeal, Dato Sri Magad Shahriman is said to have submitted several counter-arguments to defend his actions. Academy hope the appeal will be considered fairly according to the principles and in line with international sports law. On 3rd November, the MHC slapped Dato Sri Magad Shahriman with an 18-month suspension from all hockey-related activities with immediate effect after the disciplinary committee found that he had breached Clause 6 of the Malaysian Hockey League MHL Tournament Code of Conduct. In June, Dato Sri Magad Shahriman had expressed his disappointment after Academy, who are under the auspices of the Kuala Lumpur Hockey Association, KLHA, did not receive the 50,000 ringgit prize money after winning the 2020 MHL Women's title, as well as the 15,000 ringgit for emerging as runners-up in the Vivian May Soares Trophy. And that concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, businesses need to bolster digital economy and to make it inclusive. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM. You take care and have a pleasant evening.